Hello. It's good to see you. Today we are going to make a couple of tomato sandwiches. And I know that sounds silly. Why are we doing that? What's a tomato sandwich? And I think that question surprised me more than anything when I first started to talk about tomato sandwiches. Okay. Tomatoes. Look at that. This one has a little point. It's a little, ooh. Yeah, so we are going to make something that is very, very common in the southern part of the United States. And I really had no idea that so many people in other parts of the world didn't know about it. I thought it was a pretty simple thing. I mean, I thought it was something that was a little bit more widespread than apparently it is. And I do realize there are other people in the United States who make tomato sandwiches. A tomato sandwich is exactly what it sounds like. It is a sandwich made with tomatoes, primarily tomatoes. I mean, you can put other things on the sandwich as well. I'm going to show you the way I prefer to make the sandwiches. And actually, one of my subscribers works with the New York Times, and a couple of years ago, they did a little story on me in the New York Times magazine all about tomato sandwiches. That was really cool. It's been a popular food choice for people in the southern part of the United States for a long time because it's very simple. It involves ingredients that are readily available for a good chunk of the year. And we do grow a whole lot of tomatoes in the South. Now, when I make tomato sandwiches, I prefer to do it with homegrown tomatoes. Now, you can get tomatoes in the grocery store year-round. Unfortunately, most of the tomatoes in the store taste like cardboard, like they don't really have any flavor. Now, if those are the only tomatoes you've ever had, you may not know how good a tomato can really be. So what I do is I go to the farmer's market. We have a really great farmer's market, and this is some video of when I went yesterday. And this is one of the stalls at the farmer's market, and you can see that we have all these different types of tomatoes. Now, there are more types than this. This is just what this stall had to offer. And they were all, I believe, $3.49 a pound for tomatoes. They have gone up a little bit, or $3.29. Last year they were cheaper, but all the stalls are charging more. Some of them are charging $4 a pound for tomatoes, which that's a bit much, but if you walk up and down a little bit, you can kind of compare prices. But so you get these different types of tomatoes. And, you know, different tomatoes offer different things. So I got some from the stall that I showed you in that little video clip there. I got a German Johnson. I got a Better Boy. And I got one of the yellow tomatoes. Now, it's not much to look at here, but don't worry about that. So when you get produce at the farmer's market, it may not be as pretty as what you see in the grocery store, but personally, I don't really care what it looks like as long as it tastes good. If you've never had a homegrown tomato, which these are grown differently than the ones you're going to get in the grocery store, oh my word, they are so much better. They have more flavor, they're more juicy. They're just delicious. And don't even worry about this because you're not going to eat that part anyway. It doesn't even matter. And I'm going to show you the tomatoes that I bought yesterday. So I've shown you this one 2 or 3 times. So I have this one here. Now it does have a little bad spot on it, but we don't worry about that because you can just cut that out. You don't have to worry about that at all. So we have that one. And I did get a yellow tomato. Now, this is ripe. You may look at this and go, but that's not ripe. It absolutely is. This one is less acidic, so it doesn't have quite the acidic taste that some of these other tomatoes may have. The flavor to me is a little bit muted. The flavor's not quite as strong. I still like these, and every summer I will get these at least once to make tomato sandwiches with. So I got one of those. I believe this was a German Johnson. I could be wrong about that. But see, it's a little more pale. You see, it's kind of more of a, it's not as dark as some of the other ones can be. So I got one of those. This one's really nice. One thing you want to keep in mind though, when you get tomatoes at the farmer's market, they're not going to last as long. The ones in the grocery store, I mean, it's like they're good for a long time. The ones that you're going to get at the farmer's market, you probably want to eat them sooner rather than later because they are probably going to go bad faster. And then I got 3 of my favorite tomatoes, the Cherokee Purples. Now those are my favorite. I think they have the best flavor. They're almost sweet. There's almost not really sweet, but there's a slight bit of sweetness to them, and they are my favorite tomatoes. But they're also kind of ugly sometimes. Look, you see, it always looks like a tumor or something. But typically with the Cherokee Purple, it's going to have a different color to it. Like if you compare it to this one, I think this is a better boy. I could be wrong. I can't recognize them by sight except for the Cherokee Purple and the yellow ones. But so it's a little darker. You see that? It does almost kind of have like a purplish look to it. But this one's leaking a little bit, and they will do that. This one I'm probably going to have to eat like today because it's starting to, yeah, it leaks a little bit. It needs a diaper. But so they do go bad faster than ones you typically get in the store. And they have this kind of greenish look up here a lot. And they'll have that even when they're super ripe. That green color up here at the top doesn't always go away. So I got that one, and then I got this one. This one's not quite as close to being super ripe, but usually on the bottom they look kind of funky. This is another Cherokee Purple. It almost has like a little heart shape to it. And then again up here at the top, you're going to see that green up there. And then I always have to get one that almost looks like a human brain, and I got one that looks like that. Look at it, it's very lumpy. Yeah, so I keep them face down like this, like top down, like that. Doesn't matter. You can store it however you want. I don't put them in the refrigerator. I leave them out on the counter. The main reason I do that is because if I put them in the refrigerator, I tend to forget about them, and then they are wasted because they don't get eaten. But look at the underside of that. It looks like a pencil holder, like you could put pencils in it or something. Yeah, you have to get at least one that looks like a human brain. You just have to. And they're delicious. I love the Cherokee Purples. Those are my absolute favorite. So those are the tomatoes that I got at the farmer's market yesterday. I think we'll go with the one that was a little bit leaky. Now I've washed all these off, so you bring them home, you wash them off a little bit, under water. You don't have to do anything special. I think we'll go with this one. We're going to make sandwiches with this tomato. And the other ones will not go to waste. Now my older son likes tomato sandwiches, but he hates mayonnaise. Both of my kids hate mayonnaise. They don't like it at all. So my younger son doesn't like tomatoes, so he doesn't eat tomato sandwiches. But when my older son makes tomato sandwiches, really, it's very simple. He just cuts up the tomatoes and puts them on the bread with a little bit of salt, maybe a little bit of pepper, and that's all he does. Now I want to say about making tomato sandwiches, and I think this really applies to any kind of food. There is no right or wrong way to make a tomato sandwich. There's not. The way you make it is the right way to make it. If you like it, you made it the right way. So some people are kind of weird about the way you might make food, and I'm not really sure why that is. I've always been fascinated by human behavior. Why do people do what they do? Like, why does it matter so much to some people why you do something a certain way? But some people just, I don't know, they think there's like one way to do things, and if you don't do it that way, you're doing it wrong. You can't make a tomato sandwich incorrectly. You really can't. So when I make mine, so we're going to take this one here. So you can peel your tomatoes if you want. Now my mom, she will peel the tomato before she slices it. I don't do that. When you cut these, you have to consider this lumpy part. But there's plenty in here to work with. You can get so many good pieces out of this tomato. We could easily make 2 tomato sandwiches out of this right here. Oh, yeah. And if I have any left over, usually I'll just eat it. I'll put a little salt on it and I'll just eat the leftover pieces. Or I'll stick them in a container and I'll eat them later. But yeah, there's no wrong way to do it. So if you've never had a tomato sandwich, I highly recommend trying it. Now, this time of year is a really good time to do it because, well, at least here, it is prime tomato season. You can get the best tomatoes this time of year. Oh, they're so delicious. And if you have a farmer's market near you, you could probably take your pick. You could find all different kinds. You could maybe try some that you've never tried before. You'll find varieties that you've never seen in your life. They aren't in your grocery store. And you could try them and you may find a new thing that you love that you never even knew about before now. So I try to learn a new thing every day. And so I'm always looking for something new to learn, and I encourage other people to do the same. Because as I tell people, you know, everybody you meet knows something that you don't. So see what you can find out. I love learning things from other people. I love learning things online. And a tomato sandwich for you could be a new thing to try, and you may find a new food that you love that you never even thought about. So it's the simplest thing. So I'm going to get ready and I'm going to set up all my stuff here on my little table so we can make our sandwiches. Okay, we're going to make a tomato sandwich or two. Usually I make two, and that will be like my lunch. So that's going to be my lunch today. Now, the bread. There's no right or wrong answer for the kind of bread you use or what you put on it. There's really not. I can't stress that enough. Personally, I prefer to make mine with this bread here. This is Merita old-fashioned bread. This is just plain old white bread. It's terrible for you, and it's wonderful for tomato sandwiches, in my opinion, because to me, this bread here has the perfect consistency. It's kind of firm, but it's not too firm, and it has almost a slight sweetness to it. I can taste it. I know there's sugar in it, but it's not a sweet bread at all. But there's just this little bit of sweetness that when you combine it with this, oh, it's heaven. It's just the best thing in the world. Now, one thing you do have to keep in mind, when you get tomatoes from the, stop dripping, when you get tomatoes from the farmer's market, they're going to be very juicy. If you're used to buying tomatoes in the grocery store, the ones that you buy at the farmer's market are definitely going to have a lot more juice in them. They're going to be juicy. So you don't want to put it in a bread that's too porous because it's going to make the bread soggy. So that's one reason why I like Merita, because it's like a little sponge. It just, all the synthetic crap in here, it just soaks up that juice and it's really good. But it doesn't make the bread soggy. Now you don't want to leave it sitting too long or it will get soggy. But I make the sandwiches and eat them right away. And I don't make them both at the same time. I'll make one and then eat that. And then you take your little butter knife that you use for your mayonnaise, if you use mayonnaise, you set it on the side of the sink. And that is a clue to the rest of the world that you haven't quite completely decided if you want a second one or not, but you might. So you put it on the side of the sink where the dirty part is kind of hanging over the sink. And then when you're ready, because you always want a second one, you grab that knife to get your mayonnaise and you make the second one. Look, it looks fluid. You do that. You could do that with a pencil too. See, it looks wobbly. I don't know why I'm doing that. All right. So we have a brand new loaf of Merita bread here. Now, one thing I've noticed with this, well, really any bread, this stuff has gone up a lot in price in the last couple of years. This bread at my local grocery store was $4.50, which I think is ridiculous for a loaf of white bread. If you don't want to pay that much, you don't have to. I have found that some store brand white breads are perfectly fine. Actually, the white bread at Aldi is really good, and it's only $1 here where I live for a loaf this size. It's only $1, and it's actually not bad, and it's way cheaper than this. But for the sake of this video, I bought a loaf of this because this is what I grew up making my tomato sandwiches with, was Merita. But the reason I made it with this was because there was a bakery thrift store kind of like we've done show and tells at a local bakery thrift store. There was a Merita bread store about 20 miles from my house, which we lived in a very remote area, so that was really kind of considered close because we didn't really have anything close to us. If you wanted to go to the store, it was a bit of a drive. But my mom would go to the Merita bread store like once a month, and she could buy loaves. It was like day-old Merita bread, and it was, I think it was 50 cents a loaf, or maybe less. I think it was less than that. Maybe it was 35 cents. But we had this big freezer, and she would put bread in there, she would freeze it, and we would use it. So that's why I grew up eating this, because it was cheaper than other bread. So this is what I grew up with, and I still like it. Now, it's not like the Love and Fresh that we look at from Aldi, but it has their little logo going around here. Look at that. And it tastes exactly the same as it did when I was a kid. The bag looks the same, the bread tastes the same. It hasn't changed at all. It's made from a rich, old-fashioned recipe, so it says. Now I have a question for you about bread. I always find this interesting. So you got your little twist tie, and it's kind of like USB ports. The first time you try to twist it, it's wrong. So then you twist it the other way, and that's wrong. And then you go back and twist it the way you twisted it first, and it works. I don't know why that is. Like when you put it, it doesn't go. Twist ties are the same. Okay. Yeah. So my question for you is, I got two questions. This first piece of bread, what do you call this? What do you call this piece of bread? And what do you do with it? Do you eat it? Or do you leave it in the bag? Because when I was growing up, we left it in the bag, and you would just pull pieces of bread from behind it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get 4 pieces of bread out. Now, when I was growing up, we always called this the heel of the bread. And I liked it, so when you get to the end of the bag, there'd be two heels in there. And I like to make cheese toast with it, because it's a little bit more dense than the rest of the bread. And I would just take a slice of American cheese and put it on, get 2 slices, put one on each heel, and stick them in the toaster oven on broil, and heat up the cheese, and I would just eat it like that. It was really good, so I would use the heels for that. I've noticed that my bread has this on it. Now this is just flour. It's not mold. There's just a little bit of flour on there, and that happens sometimes. So if you see that, it's nothing to be concerned about. It's just a little bit of flour. Sometimes that bread does that. Now I have 2 plates, and I just have these little plastic plates here. I have 2 of them. So I'm going to use one to cut up my tomato, and the other one I'm going to put my bread on, and I just open it up like so. And I'm going to put some mayonnaise on there, because that's the way I like it. And again, like I said, the way you like it is the correct way to make it. As long as it tastes good to you, you made it the right way. And I have a little glass of iced tea here, sweet tea. Well, there's no ice in it, but my sweet tea. You drink whatever you want to. Okay. So, I'm going to cut up my tomato. Now, when you cut around this part, this is kind of tricky because of the way it looks. Now, I leave the skin on the tomato. I don't peel it, but my mom would peel it. I don't. When you cut it off, it looks like that. You see all those seeds, and it's very juicy, but we're not going to eat that part. So, I'm just going to start cutting some slices. I'm going to cut a few just straight through. And the thickness of the slices is up to you. I cut them about, my hands are clean, I cut them about that thick. Of course, it's not perfect, but so I have some big old slabs of tomato here. But then I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut some at an angle. So I have like some little wedge pieces, and I'm going to show you why I do that. Sometimes you have to do it because you have a bad spot on the tomato and you're just trying to cut it out. This one doesn't really have any bad spots. not that I see, but I try to get all the goodness. And of course, you get on into the middle and you start getting to this part here where it has this white stuff in it. I don't eat that part. That's like its core or whatever. And if you find a tomato you like, these tomatoes are full of seeds. You could save these seeds. You can watch videos on YouTube about how to save these seeds. And you could plant them next year, and you could try to grow some yourself. If you have a little container or just a little bit of land, a little bit of dirt somewhere, you could grow some of these yourself. If you wanted to try to do that, you can save your seeds and do that. I just go to the farmer's market and buy them. So now that I have my tomato all cut up, so here we have, this is the, this part will be thrown away. This is the part that I'm not going to eat. This is like the top part. And the bottom part is kind of funky. I'm probably not going to eat that. But see, oh, I wish you could smell this. It smells so good. You are not going to get a tomato at the grocery store that smells like this. You will not. And once you try a homegrown tomato, it's going to be very hard to go back to the ones at the grocery store. I don't even bother with the ones at the grocery store because they just don't taste good after you eat one of these. So I'm going to take my salt here, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little salt on them. Not a lot. I don't want it to look like it snowed on them or anything. I just put a little bit on there. And sometimes I will put a little pepper on there. I have this little pepper mill from Aldi, stone mill. Sometimes I'll put a little pepper on there, but I don't feel like doing that today. Because for me, I want to be able to taste this. I don't want to put so much other stuff on the sandwich that I can't taste these wonderful tomato slices. But again, that's totally up to you. All I do, I take my Duke's mayonnaise. Now, there are all kinds of mayonnaise that you can buy. This one is my favorite. This is the regular Duke's mayonnaise. It's got twang. See, it says so up there. It's got vinegar in it, and not a lot, but it does kind of have a little bite to it. It's got twang to it. And this is expanding. You can get this in different parts of the country now that you didn't used to be able to get it. I love it. Now, here in the South, people are pretty passionate about their mayonnaise. There's Duke's. You have Duke's people. You have Hellman's people. The Miracle Whip people. We don't talk to them. The Miracle Whip's just gross. I'm kidding, by the way. But I just find that this is the best tasting kind here. But I don't put a whole lot on there. We have our tomato slices ready. And we have our bread here. So we've got our 2 pieces of bread. Now right now I have not put anything on here yet. I'm going to take my Dukes. Now you have to keep this in the refrigerator after you open it. There are different sizes of Dukes. This is one of the smaller jars right here. You can also get it in a squeeze bottle. I just prefer this. I don't need a squeeze bottle. And with the squeeze bottle, I always end up with too much somehow. But, see that? Mayonnaise. I don't put a whole lot on there. It's just, really, it's just a little bit. I'm going to take some like this. And I'm going to put just a light layer on both pieces of bread. I'm not going to do a whole lot. It's just a little bitty bit. There. Get a little bit here. There. Okay. I go all the way to the edges so it's consistent. There. Like that. And then we do the other piece also. It's not gobs and gobs of mayonnaise. It's just enough to kind of give you a little bit of a taste. But that's it. Now, if you've never made a tomato sandwich before, you could start out with just, however you want to do it, but you could start out with just some bread and a couple of slices of tomato and nothing else. And you could just try that, take a bite of that. If you don't like it, you could open it back up and put something else on it. There are millions of ways to make tomato sandwiches, and they're all correct. They're all right. As long as you like them, they're right. Don't be afraid to try something new. It's not going to hurt anybody. But the worst thing that could happen would be that you would end up with a sandwich that you didn't really care for, and then you don't have it again. That's the worst possible outcome of this. So you got your 2 pieces of bread, a little bit of mayonnaise on each. So it's opened up. I'm going to take a slab of this tomato. Oh, look at that. That's almost perfect coverage right there. The reason I made the wedges, though, so I can slide this over, so it's going to go as close to the edges of the bread as I can get it. And then I'm going to take a little wedge and put it right there, like that. Now, these sandwiches can be messy. It's going to drip all over the place. You're going to have to hold it together. This little guy here is going to try to squirt out the side of the sandwich, so you have to hang on to it. It takes a little bit of management to eat it. You have to kind of manage your sandwich. You have to kind of corral it and herd it back into shape. Now, these pieces of tomato, they have the salt on them, just a little bit of salt. I didn't put any salt on the bread at all. And then we're going to take this piece and fold it over just like that. Now, once I get it like that, usually I kind of mash it a little bit, not hard, just kind of press on it a little bit. And that's it. So it is ready to eat at this point. Now, again, I don't want to leave it sitting too long because it will get a little mushy because there is just so much. The tomato is so juicy. Look at this plate. You can already see, look, I don't know if you can see all that tomato juice that has already pooled. And that's just from cutting the pieces up. There's already a lot of juice in the plate, and you can have juice in the slices. So here you have it, like that. See? Very simple. Now, you just kind of mush on it a little bit. You're going to have to kind of hold on to it with both hands. This is not a one-handed sandwich at all. And keep a plate under it to catch any drips from the tomatoes. Oh, that's perfect. That is so good. This is the perfect combination of everything, in my opinion. And as I said, typically when I make these, I'll make two. And that would be my lunch or my dinner. Sometimes I'll make these for dinner. I'll probably have it for dinner tonight because I have a lot of tomatoes. And as I said, you kind of have to eat them quickly or they might go bad before you can finish them. So, but I love these because I can't get these all year. The best tomato season here where I live in central North Carolina is usually about mid-June through about the end of August, beginning of September, and it kind of fades out after that. You don't really see them so much anymore at the farmer's market. So you really have to enjoy them while they're available. And this year, I almost forgot. I thought about it back in May. I went to the farmer's market back in May, and there weren't really any tomatoes yet. There were some, but they didn't look too great. So I thought, well, come back about mid-June. I forgot all about it. My summer has gone so fast. And I didn't think about tomato sandwiches again until the end of July. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got to go get my tomatoes while I can. So I missed out on some good tomato sandwiches this summer because I just totally forgot. And my summer just got away from me. The summer has gone so fast. But you got to go when they're ripe and when they're good. And while you're there, you may find some other stuff that you want to try because they have all kinds of fruits and vegetables. Oh, they sell these beautiful flower arrangements at my farmer's market. They are beautiful. And they're like $20 and they're huge and gorgeous. I love it. So that is it basically. It's very juicy. So tomato sandwiches don't last very long around here, around me anyway, and they are just wonderful. Look at that. So actually I'm now getting to the slightly thicker part of this tomato slice, and so you have that tomato juice and it mixes with the mayonnaise and it kind of gets down in the bread a little bit. Oh my God, it is amazing. So we finished that one. And we have another couple of pieces of bread here. I use this one to wipe up a little bit of tomato juice on the plate. So I always mess up 2 plates when I'm doing this. 1 butter knife and 1 to cut up the tomatoes with. So we already have our tomato slices. And so these are left over from cutting up this tomato. And there's plenty here because this big piece is going to cover most of the bread. And then we can take 1 or 2 of these little wedge pieces to kind of fill in the gap on the bread. And then the other ones, I'll probably just pick them up and eat them like they are. So, again, we've got our Duke's mayonnaise, which was it was born in the South. It was from the southern part of the United States, and I grew up eating Duke's mayonnaise. When I was really little, though, I hated mayonnaise. I think I kind of grew to like it when I was older. But when I was a kid, I didn't actually put mayonnaise on my tomato sandwiches. I would just do bread and tomato slices and a little bit of salt. So that was all I would put on there. But again, it's a very light layer. It's like just a small coat of mayonnaise on there, like that. I'll try to get it all the way up to the edge there. See, so each bite is kind of the same. You don't end up with a bite of, just plain old bread and nothing else. That's just the way I prefer to do it. But it's a very light layer. It's not a whole lot. But again, if you find that you don't like mayonnaise, or you don't like mayonnaise, you don't have to put any on there. If you really like mayonnaise, you could put a whole lot. You could put anything on here, really. But to me, I want to do it in a way that I can actually taste the tomatoes. Because to me, that's the main event. That's the biggest part, is, what we're going to put on here. So again, these pieces of tomato have been salted. I'm going to put a piece here. Like, say we put it right there. And I have a wedge. Could stick it there. Now we do have a little area here, but I don't really have... I'll put that there. We don't have anything to put there. And I've got another wedge. I'm just going to stick it there, like that. Now they are very juicy. I have a little napkin here to wipe my hands on. But again, you take that top piece of bread and you kind of mush it down, like that. Oh, that's going to be good. Like so. And then I have 2 pieces here left over. This was the bottom part. But I have these 2 pieces here, and they're salted. Oh my God. That is the best flavor. I love that. And this tomato is particularly sweet. Like even for a Cherokee purple, it's sweeter than normal. Very juicy. But it still has a very definite tomato flavor. It's not like a fruit or anything. Like, it doesn't taste like a cherry or anything. And look at all the seeds that were just left on the plate. Look at that. Oh yeah, you get tons of seeds in every tomato. And it's very easy to save those seeds. Like, you have to clean them off or dry them out or do something. I don't know, but there are videos online of how to do it. And you could save them and plant them next year. Like, look up when to plant them depending on where you live and how to care for them. And yeah, you could try to grow some tomatoes of your own. There. We have a lot of animals around here where I live that eat them, though. I tried to grow some was it 2 summers ago? And the rabbits and the squirrels and the raccoons, even the raccoons will eat them, the deer. I mean, we have a lot of animals that love tomatoes. So it's kind of challenging to actually get any tomatoes before they get them. So I just get them at the farmer's market. It's just easier. All right, so we have our second sandwich here. Look at that. And I know you're probably looking at this going, that sounds nasty. Well, you might be thinking that. I don't know. Don't knock it till you try it. I'm telling you, I grew up eating these, in my family growing up. We ate a lot of these because we had a big garden every year. And my brother and our job was to keep, and it was very large. I mean, this was not a little bitty garden. It was very big. And our job was to keep it weeded and, keep it and kind of maintain it. And we would grow a bunch of tomatoes. We would have tomatoes, corn, potatoes, okra, watermelons. Let's see. We grew a bunch of stuff, turnips, greens. We had a lot of everything. And then my mom would can a lot of the stuff that we grew. The green beans and tomatoes and potatoes. We would can all that. And so we could have them throughout the winter. And I learned how to can and all that stuff. But, yeah. So we always had a lot of tomatoes this time of year, and we could get the bread really cheap, and so it was an inexpensive way to provide meals for my family because we didn't have a lot of money. So it was a good thing that you could eat that didn't cost a whole lot. So we had lots of these, and I still love them. They're still good. It's very juicy. I just cannot get over how good these are. Every year, I'm just blown away by how tasty these things are. It's such a simple thing. And I think part of it for me is nostalgia because it reminds me of eating these as a kid, and I loved them then, and I still do. And I like them with this bread. But as I said, if you have an Aldi near you, their plain white bread, honestly, it's not bad for these tomato sandwiches either, and it's a lot cheaper. But you definitely want to keep a plate under it to catch all the drips and the little crumbs that come off the bread because they just kind of go everywhere. And it's summer when you hear the cicadas outside of my house. So as I mentioned, this is the time of year that you can get the best tomatoes. And if you have a farmer's market near you, I highly recommend going and checking it out because you can help support your local farmers. You can give them a buck or two and try some wonderful tomatoes. You may even try ones from different stalls. They may taste different. You may find that you like some better than others from different sellers. You may find different varieties of tomatoes that you like better than others. I really like all of them. I have never found a variety of tomato that I didn't like. Some of them I like more than others just because the flavor is a little different. The Cherokee purple ones are my favorites. Again, because like I said, I think they have the best flavor. They're very juicy. I mean, oh my gosh, they're so juicy. But they are absolutely delicious, and I love them. But I will take any of them. I don't care. I think they're all good. And because we were so careful about our distribution of mayonnaise and tomato, it's good all the way down to the last couple of bites. So that's it for my tomato sandwiches for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video about one of my favorite foods in the whole world. I hope you'll give it a try if you've never tried one before. They're really something. And get some Dukes if you have it. They don't sponsor me, but this is truly the best mayonnaise. That's all I have to say about that. And thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you again really soon.